Hello students, I Dr. Rekha Mittal from Department of Chemistry, JECRC College. Today we'll discuss about the topic that is experiment number 9. The objective of experiment number 9 is to determine the flash and fire point of a given lubricating oil sample using Pensky-Marten apparatus. So we have to determine the flash and fire point of given lubricating oil in this experiment. Now apparatus or reagents required for that is Pensky-Marten apparatus and given lubricating oil sample. Now theory of this experiment is flash point of oil is the lowest temperature at which the combustible liquid gives off sufficient vapor that ignite for a moment when a small flame is brought near the liquid surface under specified condition. This is the flash point of a given lubricating oil, and the fire point is the fire point of oil is also the lowest temperature at which the vapors of oil will begin to produce a continuous flame above the oil at least for 5 seconds. A liquid having flash point less than 140 Fahrenheit is called inflammable liquid, and those with flash point above 140 degree Fahrenheit are called combustible liquids. Normally the fire point of oil is 5 to 40 degree higher than its flash point. The flash and fire point don't have any bearing with the lubricating property of the oil, but these are important when oil is exposed to high temperature surfaces. Depending upon the requirement, we are using Pensky-Marten apparatus for this experiment. Pensky-Marten apparatus is the most commonly used apparatus for determination of flash and fire point of oils. The essential features of the apparatus are as follows. This is the diagram of apparatus, that is Pensky-Marten apparatus. Different parts of Pensky-Marten apparatus like pilot burner, opening, oil in which we are taking in the calorimeter, air bath, oil cup, stirrer, oil level pointer, shutter control. So these are the different parts of Pensky-Marten apparatus. The oil cup consists of brass and is of standard size, having a markup to which the oil has to be filled. The lid of the oil cup has 4 openings, which are meant for a special type of stirrer, thermometer, and an air inlet, and a device for introducing the standard flame. The shutter provided at the top of the cup has a lever mechanism. The assembly is heated in a controlled manner by keeping it on an electrical heater. Now we come to the procedure. Before starting the experiment, we should know about the procedure, what steps we have to follow during the experiment. First of all, clean the oil cup and other parts thoroughly before starting the experiment. Put the apparatus on a level, steady table to avoid any damage or accident. Fill the oil to be tested in the cup up to the level mark. Cover the lid and insert the thermometer, the stirrer device, and flame exposure device carefully in its opening. Heat the apparatus homogeneously by using the air bath with the help of burner or hot plate and stirrer, approx 60 revolutions per minute. When the temperature rises within the range of anticipated flash point, at every 2 degree rise, flame is introduced for a moment with the help of shutter. Record the flash point at the temperature at which a flash appears in the form of weak sound and light. This temperature is flash point. Allow to cool the oil for some time. Heat again and test the flame for a distinct flash. Repeat the procedure 3-4 times. The procedure is continued as before until oil vapor catches fire, which stays minimum for 5 seconds. The temperature at which this ignition takes place we have to record as a fire point of the oil. So now we'll start the experiment in the laboratory.
Now, by this Pensky-Marten apparatus, we have to find out the flash point of lubricating oil which we have taken in this calorimeter. Now, what is flash point? Flash point is that point where a pop sound appears and a spark for 1 second appears. That we have to note down, and we also note down the temperature at which the flash point appears. So this is the flash point of a given lubricating oil. Now similarly, when the flash point appears, after then we have to find out the fire point. So we'll continuously take the reading by, for example, we are starting that experiment. We bring that matchstick near the pilot burner. Then nothing happens. It means now we'll again repeat. After every 2 degrees, we have to measure the reading. See, the temperature increases continuously in the thermometer. Repeatedly, we take the reading and bring the matchstick near the pilot burner. Nothing happens. Continuously, we stir the lubricating oil so that the uniformity of heat maintains in the lubricating oil. Continuously stir the lubricating oil. Now the flash point appears, a pop sound appears, and this is the flash point of lubricating oil. Now we will find the fire point and will continuously take the reading. Continuously we are taking the reading for fire point. Now again we will take the reading. This is the fire point. This way we'll observe the fire point of the lubricating oil, and this is all about the flash and fire point experiment. And fire point is what? Fire point at which the fire for 5 seconds will appears at this point, at this pilot burner. So this is all about the experiment. Thank you.
Now after experiment in the laboratory, we observe the following observations. This is the observation table, serial number, temperature, observation. Now since we are taking the reading at every 2 degree, and we have to start from at least 40 degree. So at 40 degree we start the experiment. No flash point appears. Again at after 2 degree, that is at 42 degree, again we observe. Again we bring the flame near the shutter, near the pilot burner. Then there is no flash appears. It means no flash point. In this way we continuously taking the reading after every 2 degree. Then at 58 degrees centigrade we observe the flash point. Little bit spark with pop sound appears. After the flash point, we again bring the flame near the burner. Then at 60 degree, no fire point, means now we are observing the fire point of the lubricating oil. So after 60, then 62, then 64, then 66, every 2 degree we are measuring, we are observing the fire point. Then finally we got at 68 degree centigrade fire point. Flame stays minimum for 5 seconds. So this is the fire point of the given lubricating oil. So now the outcome, expected outcome, the flash point of given lubricating oil sample is 58 to 62 degree centigrade. It's a range that the flash point comes in between 58 to 62 degree centigrade. The fire point of given lubricating oil is 68 to 72 degree centigrade. And what we observe, what we achieve, that is the achieved outcome, the flash point of given lubricating oil is 58 degree centigrade, and the fire point of given lubricating oil sample is 68 degree centigrade. So this is our achieved outcome. Now what precautions we are taking during the experiment? The oil cup and apparatus should be clean and dried properly. The bulb of the thermometer should be in touch properly with the oil surface. The stirring of oil and heating should be stopped at the time of application of test flame. Breathing over the surface of the oil should be avoided. For each experiment, the fresh oil has to be used to get correct value of flash and fire point. Now there are certain applications also why we are doing this experiment, why we are determining the flash and fire point of any lubricating oil. Flash and fire point of all petroleum products tells us about its inflammatory as well as combustibility respectively. These points ensure safety against fire hazards during the storage, transport and use of the lubricating oil. The flash points and fire points are used to indicate the fire hazards of petroleum products and evaporation losses under Pensky-Marten apparatus. Flash and fire point of all petroleum products except fuel oils and those having flash point below 175 degree Fahrenheit can be measured by this apparatus. A good lubricant should have a flash point at least above the temperature at which it is to be used. So this is all about the experiment. Thank you.